Hey, so it's just Jim taking it away this morning. We're joining you from studio in Ogden, actually North Ogden, Utah, our new home. We got a studio set up down here. You can kind of see the sticky notes over there where we do our mind mapping and brainstorming and all the stuff that we got going on. But it's got Jeremy Beck standing by. Those of you tuning in to hear from Jeremy, he'll be with us shortly. Just had a couple of quick announcements. We've got a couple things going on that we want to talk about. We had our dealer forum yesterday, and I forgot we want to talk to Jeremy a little bit about what the results were from that. But the forum is available, as a recording. We're seeing quite a few people pick that up. I'm going to get out there today and ask for some more feedback on that. We've got feedback from a couple of accounting folks, and so look for us to make an announcement next week about when we want to do the next meeting. But in the meantime, just know we could use your feedback. We're going to work on this thing on behalf of dealers, and we want to hear from dealers and verify that we're on the right track, that what we're working on could really be a benefit to you. So by all means, sound off and let us know there. And so we'll be out there, chatting with folks today and over the weekend to try to make sure we got the right information and that we're working on the right stuff. But then also, just a quick announcement. We did also tentatively set a save the date for our next all-day live stream for July 20th. Stay tuned for details on that. We may have to move that date, but yeah, watch out for that because we got a little time to figure it out. But definitely counting on a live stream, about that time. So we just need to find a date that all the people can be there. So anyway, let's get Jeremy Beck in the conversation. Good morning, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Jim. How are you? Good to be here again.
I'm just great. We're a couple minutes in. It seems that we're live. Michelle is not here this morning, and it seemed like there was a clumsy little thing with the buttons here, but it's like she has the same problem. We got a little thing that when we try to roll our intro, it doesn't want to do its thing.
What I can tell you, Jim, is we're definitely probably less attractive to the audience without Michelle here. With just you and me here, we got problems.
I have lots of people tell me, including Jared Halstead, who you're bound to know. Jared tells me, Jim, people really only tune in because of Michelle. You know that, right?
I was just on our board meeting or a board call yesterday with Jared, and I absolutely love listening to Jared talk because it just reminds me of growing up. I grew up in the deep south of Texas, and and just his country mindset and twang and just good-hearted, I absolutely love to listen to him.
Yeah. That he's quite a character. His country mindset might be part of why he and I get along well. But
might be why he and I get along well too.
I'm from the country myself, so it is funny when I travel. Jeremy, when I travel, I would always, especially when I moved to Utah in 2016, people would kind of say, "Hey, you're not from around here, are you?" Pick up a little bit about the accent, and I would tell them, "Yeah, I just moved here from Texas, so please speak slowly." So,
right.
That's how I kind of got by for a while. But yeah, I definitely, come from the country and have that's part of where the roots are, obviously, in a lot of what we do.
Sure.
It's kind of that thing that we do with White Hat Way and all those things, and Jared's very much a part of those things. But yeah, listen, I wanted to catch up with you on. It's been a month since we spoke. Yeah. For those who haven't paid attention, we're doing this the first Friday of every month, so get a chance to get the latest on NIADA. And of course, the big thing coming out of NIADA is the conference coming up in June, and we saw the announcement about your keynote speaker. That's fun.
Yeah, we are hard and heavy planning for, I think, what is going to be the biggest and certainly the best convention that we've had in quite some time, if not ever. To your point, we just announced Sugar Ray Leonard as our keynote speaker. So I am super excited to work with Sugar Ray Leonard. And if you know anything about Sugar Ray Leonard's career, the ups, the downs, the adversity, all of the things that he's gone through, man, I don't know that you could have a better speaker with a better message right now for our industry and for our economy on what we're going through. And he is about as energizing as you could possibly find. So I am super stoked to be able to have him help kick off the 23 convention and expo this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I do not know the stories about the struggles and ups and downs. I only know about their, stardom. At the top of their career. So yeah, that'll be interesting to hear
I think I think it's funny that you say that, Jim, because I was thinking about this yesterday or the day before, that when we look at athletes or we look at people who are super successful and and really even those who are super successful in their careers and in their business that are really well-known names, all you know them for are the successes that they had. But the underlying struggles and the climb to that success and the weights that they had to throw off themselves, and the struggles, the personal struggles, the professional struggles, man, that's really where the story is. And I think, even when you look at, the car business, right? You look at, some of the big names of the car business, and they didn't get there overnight. They didn't get there by, just some miraculous miracle or by luck. They got there because of the struggles that they went through. And, having talked with Sugar Ray and his agents and everything, getting ready for this convention, and ultimately the selection of him as our keynote speaker, that was one of the things that really kind of resonated for me. Is I don't know that there's a better time for us to hear the message that he has to tell us.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot of work ahead for us. And obviously on our show this morning, we're mostly talking to buy here, pay here folks. And
Sure.
I just have been saying that, I see us heading into a bumpy time for buy here, pay here, that there's a good news, bad news scenario in that. For me, it's going to be challenging. Those who work hard and work smart going to find a ton of opportunity. Like, it's just going to be, an interesting, but we got to be smart and navigate some stuff. And obviously the work element. I've seen that, Jeremy, and like we talk about only being familiar with Sugar Ray Leonard's career at his peak. That's the part that makes it on HBO and that makes it on
Right.
SportsCenter at night, is the glory part, the pinnacle. They don't show the stuff inside the locker room or the financial struggles that people might have to navigate, and kind of creating that career. But yeah, I think that's an interesting thing for us to talk about at the conference.
One of the things that I learned that's really interesting about Sugar Ray, just in our conversations, and he's got a new book out that he's going to be signing at convention as well. But one of the things that I learned is, after he won the Olympics, obviously he obtained pretty much stardom at that point in time. But he was broke, and his family was broke, and they were having some financial struggles. And that's actually what predicated his jump into professional boxing, was because he needed to help his parents get out of the financial struggles that they were in, his mom get out of the financial struggles that she was in. And that's really where the star that became Sugar Ray Leonard was born out of, was the necessity to help and his mom.
Yeah.
And so those are, to your point, Jim, those are things that you don't know about him or don't know about the struggles that he went through. And
Right.
I probably will be a broken record until, and probably after the convention. I am super excited to hear him and to have him speak to our dealers and talk, because there's a lot of intersections where the struggles that he went through and the ways that he overcame them and the mental toughness that he had is really what our members need to hear now and be prepared for. And so I'm super excited.
Good. Well, we obviously want to see as many dealers in that conference hall as can possibly get there. We always know the value of those events. And I should probably dust off an article that I wrote on the heels of a conference. It's probably a year and a half ago. It seemed like it was the NABD conference, formerly NABD, now the
Right.
Super Forum. But they just talk about all the things that people benefit from in coming to these conferences. Of course, there's education. You can sit in the breakout rooms and you can get the real education, but there's so many other benefits in between.
There's so much, and I think I would love to certainly see that article, because I'm sure that we probably have some of the same views on convention and on expos and going to things like this. Look, the allure and the pull to convention and expo certainly is a well-known keynote speaker, but it really should be the education, and it is the education that you're going to get, and then the networking opportunities that you have with dealers that are have either gone through similar struggles or similar patterns as you, or are going through them, or have overcome them, and you get the opportunity to really kind of network, learn from them, whether it's in the halls of the expo, whether it's in the passing periods between the education sessions, whether it's at any of the parties or the receptions, or whether or not it's really sitting at a round table during the education sessions. I'll tell you, we have spent an immense amount of time at the association really focusing on the educational aspects of convention this year, and ensuring that we have relevant and mainstream and not so mainstream speakers. We're going to have the CFPB there. We're going to have the FTC there. We're going to have the IRS there talking about the EV tax credits and the various tax laws that have come out. And so there's what we tried to really do is look and see what and listen to our members and say, what is it that they need to hear? What is it that they need to learn? And then go and find and source all of those speakers and find the speaking proposals. And I think we're going to have over 75 plus education sessions this year at convention, which is our largest number of education sessions that we've had in quite some time, if not ever. And they fall everywhere from accounting to certainly compliance and working within the regulations, to dealership operations, to succession planning, right, to to inventory management. And so I think this convention and this expo is going to be a place, I know, is going to be a place where dealers can come and get tangible takeaways from an educational standpoint and conversation and networking standpoint, to be able to go back and put into place at their stores day one. These aren't going to be, we're not looking for things that are going to take months to implement. We're looking for things that you can go back and put into place at your store day one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think you probably just killed your attendance when you said that the IRS is going to be there. You're going to don't want to do that. I don't want to bump into those folks.
Hey, look, I think it's important though. I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but I certainly think it's important that we, part of our responsibility that we take very seriously at the association is, making sure that you're aware of even the things that maybe you don't, that are uncomfortable sometimes to talk about or uncomfortable to deal with. And I think with all the new tax laws and everything that's going on right now, where better to learn that stuff from than the people who are processing those laws and implementing those laws with the IRS.
Yeah, one of the things too that I've seen with conferences, and I'm sure I mentioned it in the article that I'm referring to, but one of the big things that happens in my mind, some of the biggest takeaways, the most impactful conversations are sometimes just over a cocktail or over a lunch. It may not be a formal round table. It may not be in a workshop. It may just be somebody you meet who, you just strike up a little conversation, you learn a little something. And Michelle and I have had countless, encounters like that. And then as a former dealer myself, I can say that, it's also been the case. But then the exhibit hall, being able to go and actually, if you're somebody who's, contemplating a move with your GPS provider or a DMS system, it's nice to be able to go and see the stuff and meet the people. I always say, it's really important to know the people behind the product. It's just hard. And so having a chance to be there in the exhibit hall, chat with them, get to know them a little bit. It's just really, that's another big benefit of those kind of things.
I think that's an extremely valid point. We're going to have over 200 exhibitors in exhibit hall this year. And then we're doing something new this year, which I think is going to be a really big hit. And we're seeing a lot of success, a lot of requests for it already. We have 2 stages set up in the opposite corners of the exhibit hall this year for what we're calling quick hit sales pitches. So partners can get up there on stage for 20 minutes, back in the corner, so it's not going to impede any conversations that are having in any other booths or throughout Expo Hall. But there's going to be 2 stages and 8 sessions for each, 2 different days, and partners get up there and spend 20 minutes to walk through kind of their product and really kind of give their pitch, because and we did that because for 2 reasons. Number one, the education sessions are not sales pitches. We are very adamant in working with our partners that are presenting that, look, don't go in there and pitch your product. This isn't about a pitch. This is really about educating them on a certain topic or a certain philosophy or process. But the expo hall is where you have those conversations about products and you can get into that pitch. But sometimes navigating an expo hall, especially with 200 plus exhibitors, is sometimes a daunting task. So we set up these, quick hit sales pitch stages where you can go and you can listen to these various different partners that get on stage for 20 minutes, walk through a very stringent 20 minutes, and then you can go and have enough knowledge to then be able to go and engage in a further, deeper conversation with them in their booth about the product or the service that they did the quick hit sales pitch on. So we've seen a lot of interest in that, and I think that that's going to be a really good thing for our members to really be able to understand the various vendors and partners that are in the expo hall.
Yeah, very good. I think what I'm hearing you call a quick hit, I've sometimes heard referred to maybe as a pop-up kind of thing.
Yep.
Like, and so that, and I've heard that those can be quite successful. And it does make sense to me to sit and hear somebody's value proposition and understand what kind of separates them from at least their perspective on how they are separated from the competition, if you will. So yeah, I think it's all really important for dealers to get there and get a chance to experience those things, because like I say, there's tons of value besides just the education. And I also just can say generally that because of my perspective on the industry, which is a lot of work in the trenches, meeting a lot of dealers, and then we have the kind of the broader level too, it does look to me like we're heading into a time. One of the things we've been talking about, and we talked about in our forum yesterday, was this idea of artificial intelligence. Like we're in an age where intelligence is going to be important, and that's I'm not just talking about that work smart thing. I'm talking about going beyond that into data intelligence, making for our buy here, pay here folks, is about making good decisions and being as efficient as we possibly can in this kind of turbulent economy. And so we just think that's going to be important. This is another example where being educated at the conference is going to allow dealers to be more efficient. I think I've said in the past, it's been my observation over many years of going to these conferences and sometimes hosting them. It's like, it seems to be that the most successful dealers are the ones that are in there soaking it up. Like, you see the people that are really well established, very healthy operations. And you'd think, well, why? They're smarter than anybody here. Why are they on the front row? It's like, well, maybe ask yourself if that's how they got to be so successful. And so I think this is part of why, to me, the conference is like, and we talk about it. It's not lost on us, and it's not a secret that NIADA has a large membership, and at the people who attend the conference is a small percentage of that thing, and so it really it's always a thing for me. And from a very young age, Jeremy, as a young business person, I was interested in business when I was in my calculus class in college. I told the story about, I just staring out the window in my calculus class thinking, I just don't want to be here. I'd rather be in business. Like, but from my earliest days in business, it's like, I've always been especially fascinated by the messaging part of that is business. Like, how do you connect with your would-be consumers, or in your case, your members? And so that's the part that fascinates me, is like, how do we figure out how to get these folks here? Because we know there's tons of value, and we just got to help communicate that value, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point, right? It's really about making sure that, there's a misnomer that conventions and expos, and look, I go to probably half a dozen to a dozen of them a year, and there's a misnomer that they're all about parties, and that they're all about the cocktail receptions and all of those stuff. And while, as we've mentioned, that is certainly an important part, the underlying and overarching theme of conventions and expos, especially ours, is, how can we help our members make their business better? How can we help them through the struggles or challenges that they're having? How can we help them, find new ways to do different things that maybe they're successful in today, but could be more successful in, or maybe they're struggling in and need some additional help. And that goes everywhere from facilitating in the conversations, through welcome reception receptions and through first timer receptions and 20 group receptions and all those other things to the actual educational sessions, all the way to the expo session. And then ultimately, one of the things that I'm really excited about this year is the national quality dealer, right? And bringing it into the fold of the actual convention. So we've made some additional changes to actually help use that reception or that awards ceremony to actually close out our convention rather than make it a big dinner at the end and a long reception at the end. So you're going to see that kind of intertwined, because look, to be nominated for an NQD, for a national quality dealer, is a really big thing. To win it is an even larger thing. And for our members, that don't maybe know what NQD is, or national quality dealer, this gives an opportunity to really understand what was it that dealer did that set themselves apart, that got them nominated and ultimately named as national quality dealer of the year, and really start to bring some awareness to this. But quite frankly, look, I go to Vegas way too many times than I actually want to admit, because everything with automotive is in Vegas and has been for the last 25 years. But you're not going to get a better rate at the win than our negotiated rate of $174. So I highly encourage everybody to go out to our website, NIADA.com/convention, and register for the convention this year. We'll be releasing all of our educational sessions first part of next week, and it's going to be a super robust agenda and educational show for sure.
Sure. Well, you got one other celebrity besides Sugar Ray Leonard that will be there. Michelle Rhoads is expecting to be in attendance. So
that's what I've heard. We hadn't heard from her agent yet whether or not she was actually going to be able to grace us with her presence. Right. But I've heard rumors she's going to be there.
We've had funny stories as we've traveled to people who meet us, as a result of the morning show. It's just it's an unusual thing. Like we're not used to meeting people but she has more stories than I do for sure. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to have a chance to talk to you about today was one aside. Like as you're talking through that, I'm thinking, so what's the environment at the NIADA offices right now? Are you guys meeting? Are you going in person? Or are you mostly working virtually? How's that dynamic working these days?
I would say it's probably a little bit of a hybrid, probably more on the virtual deal right now. Still, obviously, we have our office in Las Colinas, Irving, Texas, and so we do have people that go in there every single day. And then I go there probably once a week or once every other week. Jeff, our new CEO, everybody knows Jeff Martin. Jeff has been there really the last, I think he's been on board now for 3 weeks, and I think he spent 2 of his weeks in our office in Las Colinas. And I know he'll be there back there next week as well. So I would say it's probably a hybrid of both. We try to get together as much as we possibly can, and certainly a large part of our staff are here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we do get together when we can. But at the same time, also understand that to travel 30, 45 minutes or an hour to get to an office to sit on Zoom calls isn't always the best use of our time. So we try to find that happy balance.
Yeah, it takes a long time to go 20 miles in DFW. So yeah.
Especially going towards Irving, yes.
Yeah, I bet. Yes, it's very good. So, one thing too that I don't know that we've talked about recently in your appearances, I don't know that people know a lot about your car career. You want to kind of take folks through how you got started and how that? I know you and I kind of had a little bit of a career intersection in North Texas.
Yeah, we did. We did for a little while for sure. So I've been in the car business for going on 25 years. I started, again, I tell people this, I know I don't look as old as I am, but I just turned 45 and I started back selling cars, so I got out of college and was going to be a high school history teacher and a football and athletic coach. And that's what I was going to be. And that's what I had always wanted to be. I was destined to be that. And my parents said, that's great and that's fine, but while you move back in with us and you live with us, you're going to have to pay rent. You're going to have to pay, your bills, because we're not going to front your expenses anymore. Sure. So I had to get a job. in between that. And so I went and applied in the newspaper to a newspaper ad in the Fort Worth Star Telegram for a used car salesperson. And I started selling used cars and worked my way up, sold cars for several years, became a finance manager, then ultimately a finance director, general sales manager. There wasn't a seat in the dealership that I didn't sit in outside of fixed operations. Ultimately became a very small shareholder in a Buick GMC store, ran that for a little while. We also had, when I ran that store, we had a used car operation that was about 1.5 miles down the road from our franchise store, and that had buy here, pay here operations. So that I ran as well. So that was my foray into buy here, pay here, and certainly to the independent dealership space. And then I jumped ship from retail, made a successful jump over to the banking side, and went to work for a very large financial institution on their F&I products division. Was national training manager there, and then from there went to another very large F&I provider, but on the independent side. I apologize for my dog going crazy right now.
Just a little bit about you.
And worked very closely with NIADA for many, many, many years, and then ultimately had the opportunity to come over to the association back in August of last year. So just over 6 months now. And but look, this is all I've known. This is what I love. This business is who I am. It's part of my DNA. Sure. And there's not much I could imagine myself ever doing. So I never made it to high school teaching and the high school athletic coach. Right. Still a huge sports fan, but I certainly made it, I think, all right in the car business.
Yeah, you certainly have. I don't know if you can read my little title there on the screen. It says head coach of the
Yes, I see that.
That's my attempt to, I never got to be that football coach either. And I didn't, unlike you, I didn't have a design on doing that. It's just over the years and my kids going through athletics, and I began to realize, I could have enjoyed coaching, and so, but there's also part of that for me in our industry. It's kind of like, part of coaching, especially at certain levels, is like recruiting, right? So part of what's happening with me is I'm just trying to recruit people, and because Michelle and I are over here trying to lead a bit of a movement, and we know we can't do it ourselves. And so you got to go out and recruit people, and you got to bring people to the thing and inspire them to go make some changes and improvements. And so that's kind of where the head coaching thing, feels right for me. And so it's fun. I mean, I also enjoy athletics. And as we talked about earlier, it's kind of with the Sugar Ray Leonard tie back. It's like, there's things to learn, and it's hard work. It's the big lesson. The big takeaway for me is I used to say with these young kids in these booster clubs and young athletes is, it's not like you're going to roll out of bed one morning and be on ESPN's top 10 that night. It's like there's work to be done.
Right. Well, it goes back to what we were talking at the very beginning of the show with Sugar Ray Leonard, right? Everybody knows the name and knows the success, but nobody knows the story and the amount of work it took him to get there. And he didn't get there overnight, right? There's a lot of work that gets there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can wind down. I do want to ask before we finish, and we'll save some of those questions. I had some questions teed up to ask so we can get to know you a little bit more. We'll find out more about your background in a future episode. But for today, I just want to ask you to share. We learned that you're a dog owner. What else do we need to?
You can hear that.
Yeah. No, it's all good. That's funny. What about just share with me something that our listeners wouldn't know about Jeremy?
Something our listeners would not know about me. So there's probably a few things, but I would say probably number one thing that once I tell you this, you're going to be like, now I see it. My dad was a preacher growing up, a Methodist preacher growing up. And so I am a PK. And for a short stint of my collegiate career, I was actually going to be a preacher too. And then I decided, no, I enjoy sports far more. And so I wanted to go and be a different type of coach. But I grew up as a preacher's kid in the Methodist church all my life. We moved about every 3 or 4 years all over Central Texas and small towns. And I think that's why one of the reasons that I can probably work a room so well is I grew up in small towns, and Jim, that in small town Texas, everybody that lives there has usually been there for generations. Their parents, their families, their grandparents, great great grandparents founded the city. And so as a new kid coming in, like, you've got to figure out a way to like break through kind of that barrier to be able to make friends. And so I learned early on that, look, you can't be afraid to be who you are, and you can't be afraid to go up and engage in conversations, and you can't be afraid to get outside of your comfort zone, and you become a better person for it. And I think that that's a lot of the reason why I've had some of the successes, and quite frankly, some of the struggles I've had in my life, is that, look, I don't know that I've ever met a stranger, and I don't know that I'm afraid I'm certainly not afraid to embrace any struggles. Because that's what I did, every 3 or 4 years growing up.
No, I get it. I think that's a good thing to know. And I can see it in you. I mean, I could see right away how you connect with people. And I think you're in your role as, is it VP of Dealer Development? Is that your title? Mm-hmm. So, obviously in that role, you're going to do a whole lot of listening and a whole lot of connecting with people. And so we can see you out there doing that already. So, again, the conference dates, I got it right here. Let me just make sure you probably know them off the top of your head.
I do. They are June 19th through the 22nd at the Wynn Las Vegas.
Right.
And again, you can just go to NIADA.com/convention. You can, see all of the reasons why you should attend, the hotel, all of that different stuff. You can register and then make your hotel make your hotel reservations right then and there, and certainly get the link to be able to download the NIADA app, mobile app. That's one of the big things that we rolled out last year. It's a year-long app. It's not just about convention. You can manage your membership in there, your state membership, your 20 group membership, all of the stuff throughout the mobile app, and it'll certainly help you at convention as well.
Sure. Very good. Well, if you will stand by just a moment, I'll end the program, but if you'll stand by, we'll be right back with you and kind of wrap up our conversation. By just a minute, I'll close up here. So again, thanks for tuning in, folks. We want to see you at that conference in June. I'm sure Michelle and I will be in Vegas at the Wynn. Fantastic facility. And I like Jeremy. I've been around the car business long enough to be to Vegas a few times, and I've been at the Wynn, and it is really, a fantastic resort. So look forward to seeing many of you there. Until Monday, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for tuning in.